permaculture setup with you. Hope you can maybe do the same in your life. And the reason is I found it to be really fun and beneficial to the whole family. This is another episode in the Sunday morning coffee chat on EB. And the topic to start off with is I almost cut the tip of my finger off slicing mangoes yesterday. And of course I had to go to the the urgent care place. I decided I definitely needed to get some stitches in it. And they were able to put in, it was just 3 stitches, but the nurse practitioner did tell me that he said, you almost cut the end of your finger off. So this reveals to me that I am not qualified to operate sharp things without protective gloves. So I went right on Amazon and ordered grade 9 cutting glove for my hand, and I also ordered a really nice food dehydrator. I mean, it's inexpensive but nice. I'll put links down to those in the description. That's a great way if you want to support the channel. Just go ahead, use those links, check it out, whatever. But that's the best way to support the channel, is to click the Amazon links, check out some of that stuff, and then whatever you get at Amazon helps us with no extra cost to you. All right, so these beautiful Tommy Atkins mangoes are in full force, and the reason you see all these mangoes on the ground is because they're just coming in now faster than I can pick them. But it also is just the way we harvest mangoes, which is they do start to drop on the ground, and typically they drop when they're not fully ripened, so they don't get bruised much. But it's better if you can get them before they hit the ground, just due to that. But we'll pick those up off the ground, and some will be damaged from animals getting into them and whatever. We throw those right into the compost bin over here. Hey, good morning, Orlando Gardner. It's great to see you on. Welcome. Thank you for jumping on the stream, man. So cool. I was looking at your channel, by the way, and really cool. Many mango trees, right? I think you even get into grafting, which is something I'm just starting to get into. And I think it's important to show stuff like this, which is that here's my first grafting attempt, right, which was a fail. And I'm just showing this to say, yeah, make those same mistakes and counter them, learn. But, I've already, as a result of this is the pathway to excellent gardening. What I mean by excellent gardening is like you're enjoying it. You find it's something that you're attracted to doing all the time, like I am. And through this failure, I was able to research and find out more about the right way to do it. And I leave it here just kind of as a trophy to that. And I'll be going in at it again. Plenty of grafting tape, plenty of mango cuttings. And that's going to be a cool way to expand the channel this year, is to go out and find mango cuttings. I might make a series about that. But this is going to be my championship tree for grafting stuff onto. Oh yeah, we should, for sure, Orlando Gardner. Yeah, hit me up on the email, which is, on the About tab. So, yeah, this is going to be the primary graft 2 tree, because the Tommy Atkins mango is just such a vigorous producer. It's just so hardy. It'll take anything you throw at it. You can see that I'm not far from the ocean here, and this thing was just battered by a month and a half of hardcore winds, and it's no problem. Really just drops the leaves, gets at it again. So the hardiness of this thing makes it, I think, probably a really good rootstock, but we'll see. I'll start experimenting. I also have this Edward, which has never produced a viable fruit. This year, I thought for sure it set more mangoes on it this year than I've ever seen. A bunch of them started to get big, and then the wind came, and the wind really kind of just pushed all those mangoes off. And the problem with having just a few mangoes on a tree is you have so few chances to win, whereas the Tommy Atkins is going to just give you commercial grade looking mangoes. And this year, of course, I did a bunch of changing of my yard. I got highly influenced by the system that they had over at Funky Chicken Farms in Palm Bay. Really cool. I went over there searching for chickens, hence the name of the farm, but ended up discovering bunnies. And then again, that just was a turbocharge to me, because it turns out that is a really far more viable form of manure for a backyard than chickens. Long story short, now I have bunnies and chickens. And I love both, but now I see why the bunnies are so much better, even more, for producing that manure. But the reason I mention all of that is to say this tree got a lot of the bunny manure, as did all these other trees in here. So what I saw was incredible increase in fruit production. Incredible. So what I did yesterday, that was super fun. I took my youngest daughter and son over to Funky Chicken and brought a 5-gallon bucket full of mangoes. I got some sweet orange blossom honey as a gift back, so that was incredible. For me, that experience right there is the whole YouTube thing, and that's, you know, basically all I'm looking to get out of it anyway, is to meet more cool people and learn and hopefully inspire. Like that corny idea that you are a node in a network and you have far more influence and impact than you possibly can imagine, just due to the simple math of, you know, 1,000 people, they know 1,000 people. Before you know it, you're influencing 1 million people. I want to show you one cool thing since we're streaming that I think is really good. You see all the wax on this? First of all, look at how waxy these are. Oh, by the way, injured my thumb, injured my finger. I've got a few working fingers left on this hand, but we're gonna make do. This is all I wanted to do. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that incredible? These shine up. No wonder they're commercial mango of choice. You get that beautiful, beautiful color. Here's one that's ripe. That's a composter. But you can see the color on it. Yellow to orange to red. Beautiful. Like this one. Oh, go ahead, drop this in there. Yeah, okay, let's pick one. Let's pick a mango. Find a big one. If we could find a ripe one. I almost hate to pick these right by the window because we look out to see them, so enjoy that as long as possible. Ooh, this one has that just slightly different. Oh yeah, starting to get a little yellow. I'm going to say this one, even though it's a little smaller. That's a good one to pick. Watch it how much sap comes out of the Tommy Atkins. And I've always thought this has some correlation with why they are so hardy, that they are able to just to deliver that water to the fruit so readily. But no mango I've ever seen does this to this level. The drip. And it'll drip like that, you know, for a little while. When we pick these, we usually put them upside down so they'll drip out, because if you know anything about mango sap, you know it's like insidious. You get it on your fingers. By the way, some people are allergic to mango sap, like my oldest daughter. Her skin is sensitive to the sap in here. It's almost like poison ivy to people who are sensitive to it. I'm not at all sensitive to it. But the point is, it's sticky. It's like almost like you can't wash it off your hands. It takes a couple washes. So that's why I try to get the sap out. But the smell, let me see. Man, it's unreal. So we got some mango harvesting to do. Unfortunately, my mango cutting hand is out of commission now. But I may try to figure something out. All right, I'm going to leave this on here. Oh, hey, lizards. You know, interesting thing about these lizards that are so prevalent in pretty much all Florida yards, but especially here on the Berry Island. Where I'm at, they are Cuban anneli is what they're called. I've researched them quite a bit. I love them. They're all over my yard. There's a little one in there. And some of the bigger ones have been in the certain areas for 2 or 3 years. You know, it's the same one year after year after year. So, and they become less and less afraid, and you can get it so they jump up on your hand and everything. It's a pretty neat part, and they're great little bug eaters, tenders of the food forest. Oh, see that? Mango just came down, and that was one. Yeah, we were getting worried about having the chickens underneath this tree. I don't know. Hopefully, if you heard that, let me know. Look at that. Ooh, almost want to take a bite if that hadn't been created by the mouth of a squirrel. Our squirrels eat well. That one could almost be a worm farm mango. Yeah, we'll call that worm farm mango. Look at this. Black fly larva. Pure chicken, that's something like gold. That would be worth more than gold. This is my worm farm, and we have rotten fruit in there. Rotten fruit feeds the worms, which then produce worm castings. I water this down, and then out of here get worm tea, which produces vermiculture for your yard, which is essential. Look at all these worms. See these worms? Look at those red wigglers. Oh, I just heard another mango come down. Sound like little cannonballs. Yeah, and you see that what they're on is cardboard. Let me put that back down. Yeah, they love those rotten mangoes. I threw a lot of rotten papayas in there too. Oh, chicks. I know you want to get out in free range and eat up everything in the larger yard. We'll let you out for a little free range time back in the buggy backlands here later, but no more yard destruction for you little birdies. These guys, they decimated the yard when I let them out to free range for a few weeks. Holy moly. So we're backing off that. They are awesome little chicky-doos, but what they do is eat up everything, so you got to be kind of careful. And of course they poop on everything, which is good and bad. I had 2 little moringa trees that have been pretty much wiped out. This was a roselli. You can see what a chicken would like to do to a delicious roselli. Same thing we want to do to it, but it eats it back to death. Still got a tip. I'm hoping that one will come back. Oh, here's a roselli that made it. It was just a little taller than the chickens, but the top starting to get that oak leaf look. That's super cool. These are delicious leaves, by the way. They taste zesty. Chickens loved them. I'm gonna love them when they get bigger, but I'm not gonna let them eat it up anymore. This just started to come back now. Oh, interesting update on the pigeon peas too. You know, I've been experimenting like 5 or 6 different ways to grow them. Pots, tree form, bush, on and on and on. And it's been super fun. I would encourage all of you, if you're watching this video, to, if you don't already, to grow a pigeon pea. I think I have links. Yeah, I have links in the description to getting a pack of pigeon pea seeds that I got. And yeah, anyway, they're so easy to grow, and they're prolific producers of lots of high protein vegetables, basically legumes, peas. So this is like a staple thing. You know, I always like to think, let's ask a question. What if all food sources external to your yard shut down today? What would you do? You know, that's an interesting question. I actually started to ask myself that question last year. So I feel like actually in short order, you know, you have somewhat of a self-sustaining permaculture situation right in your own yard. And when you have enough of these pigeon peas producing the peas, and they are prolific producers, you've got a nonstop flow of protein coming in. These kinds of things are all forage for the animals that you may have. I said I have bunnies and chickens. One thing I think I did wrong here, which is why you see this somewhat caloric look to the leaves, is that I applied a lot of bunny manure, like way too much. You see down here, you can see it, and in there too was some of the bunny urine, because we had a lot of rain and it was all washed in, like it made like a soup in the pan I used to catch them. But I got it out of there quick enough. But the point is that I think I overdid it with the ammonia content maybe on this, and also with how much nutrients. These don't require you to fertilize them. That's the beauty of the pigeon pea. They grow everywhere, no problem. So when you fertilize them like I did, I think, you create an interesting situation. But I'm going to just back off, and they're still doing fine. This one that a tree formed, still doing well. So yeah, this is the time of year, of course, if you're in Florida, where growing vegetables and stuff is not probably a good option unless you figured out some cool systems. Actually, when I was over at the farm yesterday, I did see a cool new system she's got going, a hydroponic system that, it's all about the water. Of course, I almost walked into this spider web. Yeah, that's no good. All right, I'll let you rebuild that. Yeah, they need nothing. I think you irritate them if you give them fertilizer. That's my current theory. See what this is? This is a result of the changes I made this year, which is that I no longer, that I've got basically garbage laying on my yard, but that my yard eats garbage. And things I thought were garbage are no longer garbage. They're like a form of a resource, a really important, valuable resource, meaning my worms need food to produce the vermiculture that produces mangoes so much that you have to overflow the rotten ones into the composter. And brown cardboard is just one of the I've learned, is one of the very best food for worms. So, by the way, the worms underneath this cardboard are also benefiting from it too. We had almost a worm desert back here, and I don't mean that there weren't worms, but they were all super deep. We would just never see them. Even if I put a shovel into, after it's been rained, you didn't see a lot of them. Now, everywhere in the yard is just bristling with worms. And I actually don't know if I have a theory, but I don't know if it's true, that the vermiculture, by putting just consistent flow of worm tea back into the yard, I wonder if you also plant the eggs into the soil. If you know the answer to that, I'd really be curious. Here's another rotten one. Yeah, so once I get all these rotten mangoes in here, and there's quite a few of them, you can see some of them get this bottom rot, this black rot on the bottom. And that makes them drop. Some of them get hit by the squirrels, some whatever, various states. But once I'll have a layer of these rotten mangoes, and then I'll put a layer of that chicken bedding over top of it, and that'll compress. So you can see this is a layer of that chicken bedding down here, full of chicken manure. Can you imagine how good this soil is going to be? Like, it's just a mishmash of sable palm fronds, areca palm fronds. I'll probably cut out these larger parts because they're too tough, but everything else is just going to break down. It just keeps compressing and compressing and compressing. And all you do with this system, it's just a ring of wire that you can get straight off Amazon. And then when it reaches the point, and I haven't reached it in either one of them yet, and I put so much into each of these, it's just bizarre. Shows you how much of it is just water once it compresses down to that rich, dense state. But all you do is take this ring off, and you'll have that perfect cylinder of stuff, and you place it in a different area, and then you just pitchfork the top into the bottom. Basically, you turn the whole thing over. It's kind of labor intensive, that part, but you only have to do that maybe once a year, once every 6 months, I would say. It's a really convenient system. All of our food scraps can go in there. I could just throw cardboard straight in there. All that kind of stuff. So stoked on that. And meanwhile, I've got a Persian mulberry growing here, the finest varieties. which is another one of these plants that you got to have in your yard if you got the animal component. You're trying to do like more or less the mini Joe Salatin system. By the way, if you don't know who Joe Salatin is, a universe of goodness. Another one, a good one on YouTube, as we're talking about really great channels. I mean, there's a few of them, but that are just incredible. I like that Justin Rhodes. Who doesn't? Yeah, he motivated me to get chickens. And Joe Salatin, that his systems that he has for moving nutrients around in your yard, and it's incredible. I mean, in your farm, is incredible. That kind of stuff can change the whole world. I saw one video where they grew chickens in these community projects where you have, like, say you get 100 chickens in a place where you can keep 100 chickens, and there was a group of people responsible for these chickens, and they would just be responsible for bringing by all their food scraps once a week, and type of thing, and then they would take turns taking care of them, and they produced a non-stop flow of eggs. Incredible amount of eggs. Yeah, so you could feed portions of communities simply by creating little systems like that and assigning responsibility and just getting it up and running. And next thing you know, yeah, we're really connected to what the heck's going on in terms of what you're putting in your body, which I think is a pretty cool thing to do. I've been putting a lot of these in my body lately, the mangoes. There's a limit to how many you can put in, I've discovered, so I'm now awaiting the arrival of my chainmail glove, food dehydrator, and a fresh attitude. I think I'll give you looks like a garbage dump over here. I've got our canopy got lifted and curb stomped during we had a hurricane. We had a tornado touch down right on the other side of the house here not too long ago, about 4 days ago. A twister just came down just for, like, right onto my neighbor's fence and just blew it up, and then it started to move towards us and it just lifted up. But it lifted up this canopy and just destroyed it because we had it out in the yard. Gotta throw that away. But look at our little fruit tree collection. Yes. The baby tamarinds are doing so well. These are sour tamarind, my favorite. Little star fruit doing well. Moringa going off. By the way, moringa, another just incredible staple must-have tree. It's like a multivitamin. Papaya, little Hawaiian papayas. I try to grow more than one in a pot because of the reason you want to have the females to produce the fruit. Yeah, and then I have a whole bunch more of these tamarinds that sprouted, and I haven't done anything with them yet, and I've got to transplant those into some pots. At least I want to get at least a couple more. In fact, I think I'll move this one over into the land of the front row trees. And this is a technique I use. You probably do it also, but where I'll put 2 trees into one pot. And the reason I do that is, you know, usually if one dies, the other will go. So you get 2 chances to get a tree, and then you can just come in here and either pull this out or just cut it. Yeah, so lots of success with the potted plants still, and the key to having this potted plant situation be able to happen this time of year is, you know, you really need a shade house, a shade setup. And so I've grown this sea grape tree, formed it very low and horizontal directly over this, so it provides them with that shade. So another example of permaculture. And then we got this surfboard holding up the fence. No, just kidding. If you're like me, you've got to have an old surfboard with lots of stories associated with it, leaning up against your fence, or you're just not doing it right. Look at this strawberry tree. Man, has it grown. This is less than a year from planting it in the pot to this point. And I think bunny turds and worm tea have something to do with it. I also am starting up another banana grove here. I've had incredible success with bananas. I mean, incredible. To me, bananas are one of the easiest things to grow once you figure out how to do it. I should make some videos on that because, yeah, these are 4 varieties of bananas right here. So it should be interesting. 3 separate clumps that'll kind of just exist together. It's on the south side of my yard, so I got lots of light. And then I have Cavendish and giant Musa here. I had reached the point by using the approach that I use. Simple. It's a simple approach. Anybody could do it. But the point is that I reached the point last year where I had non-stop banana production in my yard. That was a goal of mine. And I was able to do it in a very small corner of my yard. That's where the chicken coop is now. So I had to transplant that entire banana patch. None of those cuttings wound up here. This is a new banana area, but all of them wound up over here. I transplanted all the giant cuttings. Look at how big these bananas are. I mean, some of these transplants were easily 80 pounds, 100 pounds. It's insane. But planted them all and they just popped right back. And the reason is the ones that I sacrificed, I just chopped them up with a machete really finely. Glad I didn't chop off any other fingers doing that. Oh, thanks, Camel. Appreciate it, man. Glad you're online. Appreciate you jumping on the stream. Yeah, they do look nice. And 2 things I did that I'll share with you that, and hopefully, other things you could do to make it even better. But I macheted up the trunk into small pieces. So what you end up getting is pieces like this. And you can see how fibrous that banana skin is. But it breaks down over time. But it's got all the stuff that the banana needs. Right? It's like feeding chickens eggs. So I put that everywhere. And I mean thick, to the point where it was probably 4 or 5 inches deep. Maybe even deeper in some places. And then on top of that, the flow of bunny turds has been never ending. The worm tea has been a constant shower. So now you see things like just this is lush green growth, and these are all just little sprouts down here. But the larger ones are coming in too. Now I don't expect the bananas to be that great off of these because I've done that before, and I know that it'll produce fruit, but it won't be like top notch. It'll be less fruit. It'll be smaller maybe. But I know that the fruit that comes after this stage is going to be outstanding when you get the pup. To me, that's when you get the good fruit, not on the first set. Look at this one. See this? It's another Musa. This is one I planted, and this is the original that I planted. And then it started to fail, and I just had the machete. I said, I'm over it. I chopped it right off, just mulched it up. And then shortly after came this. So now I kind of skipped that. And if I was smarter, maybe I would have done that with some of these. Just let them get rooted, let them get healthy, and then whack them down so that you know that the first set of fruit's going to be more high quality. But planted them all in here. And the beauty of this is they are no longer under power lines, even though you can see there's power lines here. They're far enough away that I was no danger. Where they were over here was right near these lower lines. So that was just because I didn't realize how huge they get after you have them there for 10 years. But look at this. The sprouts of those bananas, the old patch, are still coming up. Oh, you hear those chickadees? The chicks would like to free range. Yeah, so I got to get on the yard waste today. We had a bit of a storm last night, so all these mangoes are a result of that blow. The chickens, of course, henpecked this to death as well. My Generi fig, but it's starting to give some positive signs. Stoked on that. It's actually sending out a second branch. That's nice. Yeah, once we get off the chicken pressure. Yeah, what kind of dwarf banana do you have, Camel? Curious. seems like most have that Cavendish, which I would say is really good. Babu, fig, yes. Babu said fig, so fig we must. Into the bunny run. Dwarf Cavendish, yeah, that's a winner. I love the variegation on the Dwarf Cavendish. All right, we'll go straight in for the win. Here we are. That's a brown turkey fig. That one just, see how the ending just starts to open up there? A little bit. Yeah, that's what you gotta have to be careful of when you get a lot of rain. They swell like that. I'm gonna try this. That was incredible. Oh, here's an example of it, really. Look at that. See, you're done. You're done. I wouldn't feed that to the animals. But it'll make great mulch. Yeah, we've been feeding the rabbits and the chickens lots of fresh figs. They're stoked. I mean, you can just basically eat figs until you're full. But again, you gotta watch. Easy way to do the check is just kind of split it like that. But yeah, this is a good way to see the inside of it too. So good. Yeah, no bugs. That probably just opened up last night. Man, that's good. All right. Give one to Penelope. Actually, I think Thumper likes them more than Penelope, actually. She probably would turn her nose up at it at first. Thumper, though, he's assertive. Hey, Thump. We'll get you out to exercise here in a little bit. Yeah, these bunnies, they get pretty mellow when the temperature's a little hot like this. We get them out to exercise a couple times a day, but when it's hot like this, they tend to just want to lay around. Oops. Want a fig? Classic bunny reaction, by the way. We don't have bunnies. The bunny reaction is to have that startled jump back, and then they come in for it. Yeah, bunnies are a little twitchy. These bunnies are real mellow. Yeah, get a taste of that. Once you get a taste of that, there's no turning back. Yeah, you know you want it. This is why we call him Zen Master Thumper, because he just has these pauses where, what is he thinking about? And the answer is absolutely nothing. All right, here, you enjoy that at your leisure. Healthy rabbits. You want healthy rabbits? Look at Penelope. She is just super chill. This Penelope is so tame and mellow now, because we take her out and hold her and exercise her all the time, that she will let you pick her up and hold her, sit in a chair for 20 minutes without moving around. I bought one of these. Jury's still out, by the way. Not recommending it yet. Dynatap traps bugs. See the bugs? It does work. It traps bugs, and it does trap mosquitoes too, but still too many mosquitoes in here, and I'm gonna have to. I don't like them getting on the rabbits. It's not that bad. I can stand here, and it's really not that bad. But the point is, they're less as a result of that thing. I'll throw a link in the description of that. But it's a bug fan thing. And then I take those bugs and I feed them to the chickens. Look at the chickens. We feed the chickens a lot of our scraps too, the good scraps. Like I just gave them some old iceberg lettuce. It got a little brown, and they ate every bit of it, and they're looking for more. We've got more. What an incredible fun thing it was to build this chicken coop. I stand here and look at it, and it's hard to think back on all the work that it took to produce that. It got to a point where I was ready for it to be over, certainly at the end, but it was well worth every moment that I put into it. They're pecking at the bowl. I got plenty of food up in their coop, but they like the veggies. They like the bugs. There we go. The plumeria. There are a lot of types of plumeria. To me, this is my favorite just because of the way it smells. I also like the way it looks. If you're going to get into plumeria, my suggestion is diversify, because there's over 300 types and they all smell different, all look different. Yeah, been having success with citrus this year too, believe it or not. The grapefruit, which is usually super strong when I've grown them in the past, is kind of struggling. It's getting the salty irrigation on it, which it doesn't like. But the lime tree, doing reasonably well for a first year tree. And so is even the Valencia orange. This thing, I didn't know if it would do anything, but it just produced some new growth. It looks like it's got a chance, so who knows? I might have oranges. See, it's kind of challenging in the salty environment here, but I decided to go in. I had 3 chances to win. The lime tree, the Kiefer lime, the Valencia orange, and then way over there, that scraggly looking branch is a ruby red grapefruit tree. I love ruby red grapefruits, but it struggled. It was a dud, meaning that when I pulled it out of the pot, the bottom of the pot just fell out and it hadn't rooted down to the bottom of the pot yet. It was like, it's not good. So anyway, I figured, it's a grapefruit tree. My Bahamian next door neighbor used to tell me that he would go and work construction projects. If they'd find citrus trees, they'd just yuck it right out of the ground and bring it home on a forklift or whatever and plant it, and they could always get it to regrow the citrus from that, even that rough style that, they'd have these giant grapefruit trees and stuff that would have just gone to waste. Super cool. Yeah, I gave him a carambola tree last time I saw him. He was stoked. But yeah, the system's shoring up. I would figure by the end of this year it'll be, most of the elements are firing now, and I plan to make a video that show how all these little subcomponents fit together. I might make it a series where I go into each one because it's a lot of different systems, but maybe do a series of cover each one of the simple things and, how to build the thing, where to get the stuff, what to do, and how they fit together, and then show a final video where they all those separate systems plug in together to show the circular nature of the inputs and outputs, so that you have more or less a closed loop in your backyard. And you'll notice your recycle bins get smaller. You'll notice your yard waste gets much smaller. And what you'll see is your backyard really turboing in terms of growth. And I just point out one of the most salient lessons of my permaculture gardening experience this year was the realization that a concerted focus on water was required. So I've always been kind of careful with how much I watered, but that I would need to make sure that the plants all got watered enough and not let any of them really kind of just dry out, bone dry, which can happen here all the time. And it's a real bummer for fruit production, for a lot of things. You can't have that if you're going to be trying to grow fruit most of the time. All right, well, thanks for watching Eat Your Backyard. If you stayed this long, I just want to say deeply thank you. I appreciate it. Stoked you're on. Thanks for everybody who left comments there. Camel, Coca-Cola, Orlando Gardener, and more. Appreciate you. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you liked it. I appreciate it. It always helps us feel good. Hope you feel good. Hope you have a great day. Hope everybody's doing well out in your area. Thanks for watching. Eat Your Backyard.